For this week's project, you will need a pencil and your Sharpie. Begin by drawing a horizontal line near the bottom of your paper. You should be able to fit 4 fingers only inside this line. Don't make it too high up on your page. Start by drawing a big circle in the middle of your paper so that the bottom of the circle touches your horizontal line. This is going to be the outline shape for our cat's body. Make sure you are doing this step in pencil so we can trace with Sharpie later and then erase the marks that we don't need. Now use your pencil to draw a smaller circle on top of your big one. Follow these same steps again on either side. Big circle with a smaller circle on top. Do the same on the other side. Big circle, smaller circle on top. Now we're going to create the tails. Draw a curvy S line and then put a little U at the end of it. Then play follow the leader by matching the first line that you made until you reach the cat's body again. You can repeat these steps or try a different shape of line. I'm going to draw a loop-de-loop line and then put my U at the end. Follow the leader by tracing next to it. Notice this time though, to show the overlapping, I'm going to erase where one of them crosses with each other. And then choose a shape for your last tail, any shape you want. Draw 2 triangle shapes on the top circle to be the cat's ears. Then draw a line connecting them, and this line will trace the top part of your circle. With your Sharpie still, trace the side of your cat's face, but don't trace the entire circle. Trace it in a little bit and then go straight down to touch the body. Do the same thing on the other side of the head. Notice I am not tracing the entire circle of the head. The bottom of it will be erased later. Trace around the outside shape of the body, stopping when you get to the tail. Trace the tail. Follow these same steps on the next cat. Start with your Sharpie and begin by drawing 2 ears. Connect the lines in between them, then trace the outside edges of the head, the outside edges of the body, then trace the tail. You could try this same steps using a different kind of line. So maybe I want to change the texture by drawing a bumpy line instead. I'm going to still do the same steps, but instead of using a smooth straight line, I'm going to draw bumpy lines following the shape of my cat's body, head, and tail. Now use your eraser to erase all the pencil lines that you can still see inside your cat's body. That way they become one connected shape with no crossing circle lines inside of them. Trace the line for the top of the fence, jumping over your cats whenever you bump into them. To make the wooden posts for the fence, set 2 fingers at the bottom of your paper so that one side touches the edge of your paper. Then make a little mark with your Sharpie on the other side of your fingers. Starting on that mark, draw a line straight up till you reach either your cat or the top of your fence, which was the horizontal line. Now place 2 fingers down again so that one edge of them touches the line you just made. Then make a mark on the other side of your fingers and draw a line from that mark all the way up till it reaches the top of your fence or runs into a cat. Keep using your 2 fingers to measure the space between the boards in your fence. The line should go up to the top. You may have to stop when you hit a cat, or you might have to jump over the tail a few times like I did. Keep measuring and drawing lines till you get to the other side of your paper. Now we're ready to add the textures of the cat's fur. Notice some cats have stripes, some have spots, some have big blobs of color or certain colors in other places. All of them have the texture of fur. So you'll want to use lines or zigzaggy lines to create the fur texture as you're adding your stripes, your spots, or your big patches of color. Look at these pictures to give yourself ideas about what kind of textures you want to put on your cats. You should give all 3 cats a different type of texture. When you're drawing textures in art, you do this by using repeated lines and repeated shapes. So I'm going to use repeated short lines to create stripes on my middle cat. I'm just repeating these short vertical lines going in a row all the way across my cat's body. Notice how I go back over them to add even more lines so there aren't big spaces between my textures. This will make it look even more like fur. When you get to your next cat, make sure you use a different texture. I'm on my fluffy cat, so I'm using bumpy lines like I did on the outside. But remember, these lines have to repeat to create a texture. On my last cat, I'm going to add spots, but I'm using kind of a scribbly or zigzaggy line to create these spots because I still want it to look like the texture of a cat's fur. Remember, you can use any type of textures you want for your cats. You do not have to use the same textures that I use. Now we're going to add textures on some of the boards of our fence. I start by doing kind of a squiggly spiral and then add some squiggly lines around it. You can skip a few fence posts when adding textures. You don't have to add texture to every single fence post. We will stop here for the week. When you're finished with your textures, save your artwork so we can color it next week.